Welcome to Combat Sports Talk. My name is Ryan Smith, and this week on the show, we've got news on the impending struggle of Walt Harris and his missing stepdaughter. So let's get on into it with this episode 103 of Combat Sports Talk. Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. My name is Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man with the keys to victory, John Keys.
Yes, I am. Hello, Combat Sports Talk world. We are back on this beautiful Monday night. Lot to talk about. Let's get to it.
Let's get into it. Well, we got to get into our headliner. All right, tonight's headliner is the results of the search for Walt Harris's stepdaughter. Her remains were found in a wooded area in Macon County, Alabama. So you might have remembered that a few weeks ago we reported that Walt Harris's stepdaughter had gone missing, and police were looking for her, any trace of her, or anyone who might have had any information on that. The UFC stepped in with the Alabama, I think the Alabama governor, who set up a reward money for anyone who had information leading to the resolution of the case. And unfortunately, that case ended tonight with remains being found in the wilderness in Macon County, Alabama.
That sucks. I was really hoping that this would have came out a little bit better, but as you know, past that first 48, the chances of it coming out to a better outcome is slim to none.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that we can, the redeeming part of this is that we do believe that they're individuals that are in custody. Perhaps they are those who perpetrated this crime, and maybe that we can see justice had against this horrible crime.
I hope so too. I hope justice will be served.
All right. Well, our thoughts and prayers go out to Walt Harris and his family, and if there's anything else that occurs with this case, we will be sure to make sure that we communicate that on future shows.
Indeed.
All right. Well, there were a lot of fights that were happening this weekend. It's one of those things now that you've got 3 promotions, really 4 with the PFL. So you've got the UFC, you've got Bellator, 1FC, the PFL, and then boxing that's taking place, and you've got all the other fights that are going on. It's difficult to call something a war weekend.
Well, we are Combat Sports Talk, so we need to talk about combat sports, and we got plenty that went down.
We got plenty. But that's the thing, right, is that normally we call it a war weekend when we have 2 or more promotions, but these days it seems like everybody is fighting every weekend, I guess except for this one.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of fights to talk about. Let's get into the official decision. All right, this is the official decision. This is where we talk about the fights that were on the weekend. There are 3 promotions that we are going to cover the results from. The first being 1FC Edge of Greatness. This took place in Singapore Indoor Stadium in the nation and city of Singapore.
They shouldn't call it the Edge of Greatness. They should call it We Are Here. That's because it's some really good stuff. People, if you haven't watched 1FC yet, you're denying yourself in the worst way possible. Watch it. Don't let the fact that they're using lighter fighters to put on these events. They have kickboxing. They have MMA. There's women's MMA. That is really good. All right,
yeah.
You watch it.
Yeah, I mean, and the great thing about it is that 1FC, most of their shows are free. Like if you download the 1FC app, you're good to go. There is more content than you have time to watch. And I mean, I have the app, and I get there and I start watching, and I'm like, I don't know these fighters, but they are going all out, and it's extremely entertaining. It's just so much content. So
Exactly.
So there's 3 key fights I want to make sure that we cover. The first one being Colby Northcutt, who defeated Putri Padme via unanimous decision. Colby Northcutt being the sister of Sage Northcutt. Both of the Northcutt kids are in ONE FC, and so she finally got her I think it's her first win. I don't think that she was. I think she lost her debut, so she's, I guess, 1-1 now. We got to follow up on that.
I never knew that she had a sister until I saw the run sheet. So, this is new for me. But I have seen her, and yeah, you can definitely tell they're family.
Right. So Colby Northcutt is training with Mark Munoz up in California. So we know that she's getting some excellent training. Do you know who she's married to?
Who?
Raymond Davis.
Who?
You don't know who Raymond Davis is? You know who Raymond Davis is.
I may know.
Raymond Davis is the Bellator fighter that is just like knocking folks out in like lightning coming down from Mount Olympus, knocking folks out.
Really?
Yes.
While we're talking, I'm going to look this up. So.
Right, Raymond Daniels, right? I got to have the right guy. Raymond Daniels. Like, he's the one that all the highlight knockouts. Like, every fight, it's a highlight knockout. He is like Michael Venom Page if Michael Venom Page was good.
Really? Oh, God. He's Kempo, karate, taekwondo.
Yeah, this dude. No,
he's got all the credentials.
I'm throwing shade at MVP. We'll be back with Michael Venom Page on this show in a minute. Yeah, but Raymond Daniels is legit, dude. Like, this guy, highlight after highlight after yeah. Look at you. See, this is what I'm saying.
Goodness. He gives you the old face.
Man.
What? The old face. Oh, he just knocked this guy out. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
What are you talking? I'm being legit.
All right. So Colby Northcutt has her career. It's going up. So we can't talk about Colby if we don't talk about Sage. Super Sage Northcutt used to be at UFC. Then he got cut. From the UFC, went to ONE FC. He didn't really get cut. He fought all his contracts. UFC didn't want to pay the man, so Sage went over to ONE FC and got his face broken,
destroyed.
He literally got his face broken, and I didn't know this. I didn't know this because, and I guess my guess is that Sage Northcutt didn't know this either. So he went over to ONE FC and went to fight at welterweight. Well, in the UFC, welterweight is 170 pounds. Super Sage Northcutt in the UFC fought at 155. So the jump from 155 to 170, while it's 15 pounds, is a jump that a lot of fighters make. Unfortunately, in ONE FC, welterweight is 185 pounds. That's what we would call middleweight. So Sage Northcutt went from 155 lightweight to middleweight. Got his face broken. So what we're here to report is that Sage is going back to 155 in ONE FC, which is considered featherweight. It's considered featherweight, which is 145 in the UFC. So I wish that ONE FC wouldn't have mixed up the weight classes. At least from what we know. Maybe UFC mixed up the weight classes, but I was trained in the UFC school of weight classes. So 155 is lightweight, not featherweight.
That's scary. No wonder he got his face.
Right? Sage, what were you thinking? I feel like it's like a Ren and Stimpy episode, right? Stimpy, what were you thinking?
I mean, that's literally one of us going up there and knocking him in his face.
Yes.
No, Sage, don't do that. Well, hopefully at the featherweight level, he'll find that success that he looks for and that he deserves.
If his face recovers,
they say it's 6 months.
Yeah, something like that.
6 months.
It was rough.
Which is cool for ONE FC to actually hold on to their fighter like that and say, we will wait for him to get better. Most fight contracts wouldn't do that from what I've heard. I'm not going to say no names, but, I'm just saying that's good for them to actually wait for him to heal up, and then have him go in there and do the do.
All right. So Troy Worthen defeated Chin Lei via TKO in round two. And then the main event, if you can call it, they don't like it's so different because they don't really make it like a main event type of thing. It's because they have like the Edge of Greatness title. You don't get like the names of the people at the top of the card. So
Because they're all great. That's the reason
no,
why. They're all great.
they're on the edge of greatness.
I saw what you did.
You see what I did there? Amir Khan defeated Ev Ting via split decision. Amir Khan, that's the name of like my favorite Bollywood actor.
Really?
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say that name sounds so familiar.
It ain't my. Trust me, that's not my. He is not Amir Khan that I'm talking about. But in different Amir Khan, clearly this one can fight.
Okay. You don't know the other Amir Khan. He probably got hands too, man. You never know.
And he's just a little older gentleman, though. I don't think he's gonna,
Dude.
get in the ONE FC cage.
Remember Rob Van Cleef, 51 years old, the oldest fighter to ever fight in the UFC. Remember that?
Okay.
Black Dragon. Look it up.
All right. You are the encyclopedia de MMA. Bellator London 2, MVP versus Malilo. This was Saturday, November 23rd from the SSE Arena in London, England. Now, we had it was a pretty big card. We're only going to cover 4 fights. Charlie Ward defeated Petro Panini. Panini won by unanimous decision. You had Terry Brazier versus Soren Bach. Bach won by unanimous decision. Fabian Edwards. Remember that name from last week? We were talking about Eve Edwards' little brother. Fabian Edwards was against Michael Shipman. Edwards won by split decision. He was saying that he needs to he really wants to improve his fighting because he felt like he should have won in a much more definitive way on that fight. And then in the main event of the evening, Michael Venom Page defeated Giovanni Melillo via one-hitter quitter in the first round. I mean, it really was just like, blow, and the fight's over.
And I'm pretty sure old boy saw it just like I just saw it just there. Just that, blow. It was just like right there.
Yep.
That's what he felt, and that was it.
That's it.
He was counting the lights up in the ceiling.
Yeah,
at that point,
it was a pretty shocking knockout. I mean, Michael Venom Page, for the most part, has outclassed his opponents. Really, the only two that he even struggled with, one was Paul Daly, the other being Douglas Lima, who knocked him out and gave him his first loss. His original opponent was Derek Anderson, who was a 16-3, but he pulled out with a groin injury.
I bet he did.
Well, from what I hear, I've not seen Derek Anderson fight, but I hear he's no pushover. So maybe it would have been a more competitive fight if he'd have stayed in there. But now
he didn't think so. Okay.
But now Michael Venom Page says he is ready for the Douglas Lima rematch as soon as possible. Lima seems to be open to it, but Paul Daly also wants his rematch, wants to get revenge on Michael Venom Page, who beat him in the welterweight Grand Prix. Paul Daly wants his revenge, and the thing is that Paul Daly is throwing shade on Michael Venom Page, accusing him of only having pushovers for opponents. So, what do you think? Does Michael Venom Page get favorable matchups from Bellator, or is this the best that Bellator has to offer?
Yes, to both. I think it's a combination of both. But I mean, because you have Michael Venom Page, who once again we talk about levels. This man is several levels above when it comes to his striking game. It's sort of like how I feel about Jon Jones fighting certain opponents that I'm like, he's not ready for it. Especially in the beginning, that he was just running through people, and they were just like, is he being fed these opponents, or are they just this good? I think he's just that good, though there are a couple there that are just thrown at him because I imagine he wants to stay active. So they just offer up a sacrificial lamb from time to time.
Okay. So, last thing on Michael Venom Page. Remember, we reported a few months ago about an event that took place in last September in Dublin, where Dan Mergliotta said some pretty offensive things to Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page took some umbrage to it, and it created a bit of a scandal. Well, Page reported that Dan Mergliotta apologized to him for his behavior and what he said, and the beef is considered now squashed. So I guess it's water under the bridge, and Mergliotta and Venom Page can shake hands and have dinner together or share a beer or something, whatever those guys do.
Well, good for Mergliotta for taking the high road.
Absolutely. I don't think Page wants him to ref any more of his fights. I think that prohibition still stands.
Yeah, but at least Mergliotta was able to say, "I'll take the high road on this one" and extend a hand of peace. There's no shame there.
All right, and speaking of hand of peace, Deontay Wilder versus Ortiz 2 from the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. There were a lot of fights on the card. We're going to cover 3+1 fights on the card. We were covering the vacant WBA Super Featherweight Championship. Leo Santa Cruz versus Miguel Flores. Santa Cruz won by the scores of 117-110 and 115-112. There were two 117-110. So unanimous decision for Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah, congratulations. It sounds like I didn't get to see the boxing match. Sounds like he won in convincing fashion.
Yep. This is he's won a world title in a 4th division now. And so, that's the thing about boxing, because the weight classes are stacked so closely together. Many of them are 3 pounds or so apart from each other. A fighter can become champ like 4 times. So, when we are celebrating, someone like Daniel Cormier, who has 2 championships, or Amanda Nunes, who has 2 championships. That's a big thing in the UFC. In boxing, it's like, oh, what, you only have 2? Get off your tail, you lazy bum.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think they should give it a little bit. I like the spacing that the UFC established, with the exception of a couple of places where, the middleweight to light heavyweight, the lightweight to welterweight, I have a problem with. So, hopefully they'll fix that.
Hopefully they won't. I'm opposed to them fixing the weights. The weights are the weights. We don't need it. I don't want to see it like boxing, because if you think about it, when you think about boxing, you've got all of these different weight classes you've got to keep track of. Each one of them has their own champion, and then you've got the different the different organizations. So you got the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, I think.
Mm-hmm. WBC, WBA, IBF.
There's one more, but
it's the big 4. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
All
WBO,
of them,
WBO.
All of them have the weight classes stacked up. So there are so many. I don't think that there are enough fighters for all the weight classes that they have. And so what you end up having is all of these different, you have multiple champs. Like someone like Manny Pacquiao, I think he's won 8 different weight classes, something like that.
Oh my God.
Something crazy. Like,
yeah.
So it's unheard of in MMA.
So what is Dana going to do about that?
I do not know. However, there is some talk that Floyd Mayweather may come out of retirement and try to do something with the UFC. I don't know what that is, but his dad said that if his son gets into an octagon, he's going to come down there and drop and put hands on Dana White. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if Floyd Mayweather Sr. has still got the moves or not.
I'll say it in the words of Dana White. Good luck with that.
The WBA Super Bantamweight Championship was on the line. Brandon Figueroa and Julio Ceja had a draw. They say that draws are like kissing your sister, so there's some sister kissing happening in that fight. It was 115-113 for Figueroa, 116, 112 for Ceja, and then a 114, 114. Why does boxing have even number rounds?
That is always that's a good question. That is a very good question.
Odd number rounds, 11, 15.
Yeah. Hey, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. How about that?
Well, you know who didn't leave it in the hands of the judges?
Who's that?
The WBC heavyweight champion and 10-time defender of the title, Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, defeated Luis Ortiz.
And still.
Knockout in the 7th round.
Woo. Man.
Now, here's the thing. Now, I got into it with KC today. KC was angry with me because I was trying to communicate something, and there are times, you may not believe this, because I've gotten into it with you on topics, but there are times when I say things, but I haven't actually thought through what it is that I was saying. And so,
say it ain't so. My
point was relevant. The words that came out of my mouth were not. And so what I said is that as was his previous fight and the previous fight before that, Deontay Wilder was losing in the cards the entire fight. And so he got the knockout, and he continues to find that knockout. But I don't know that if he continues to fight like this, that he will stay the champion, because he called out Tyson Fury right after he defeated Luis Ortiz. And it's like, Tyson Fury was winning that fight until that knockdown and that he got up from, but that was a draw. You can't keep looking for the knockout. You will lose that way because there will be a fighter who you will not be able to knock out. You may not be able to knock them down, and they will outbox you. And so the point that I was making is that you're not a great fighter if you can't win the boxing match. If the only way you can win is by knockout, then I can't necessarily call you a great fighter. See, it doesn't come out right. Like, he's a great fighter. He's champion. Every fight is a knockout. Like, it's crazy. But he's losing on the cards. It's like, okay, you see what I'm saying? Like, does it make sense?
It doesn't come out.
It doesn't come out right.
I think you should never talk about it. All right.
Okay.
First of all, because for the simple fact that one of the conditions for a win is knockout. Okay. Therefore, I think I know what you're trying to say, that he's going for a technique that doesn't necessarily win the card, win by the judge's eye, but he's going for a kill, basically. And sometimes that's just the fighter's style. It's just like with Lyoto Machida, perfect example. Lyoto has only lost one round in his entire game, in his entire fight career. You know that? One round. Anytime he goes to the judge's decision, he has won. That has been proven time and again. You got to knock him out. And with that said, Wilder is the reverse. If he knows that if he goes to the judge's card, he's gonna lose because he's that brawler.
Why?
So
why does he know? I mean, I think if Deontay Wilder was listening to this conversation, he would probably be cursing both of us out right now and be like, "You guys don't know anything about boxing. Just be quiet."
And I'd be like, Mr. Wilder, though. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Like, please, Mr. Wilder, do not come after me. You know. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there is a fighter out there somewhere. I think it's Tyson Fury, but it could be Andy Ruiz Jr. It could be Anthony Joshua. There is a fighter out there who is going to survive the bomb squad, that big punch that he lands that has knocked out 42 people before, him, and so it's like, I believe that Tyson Fury, because of Tyson Fury's kind of herky-jerky style and his, the way that he approaches the fighting game, that he will not get knocked down this time. There will not be a knockdown. And if he survives all 12 rounds, Deontay Wilder hasn't shown the boxing prowess to win on the cards. And that's the effectively, and this seems like Captain Obvious here, the way to beat Deontay Wilder is not to get knocked out.
Okay, that's obvious. That's the way to win any
Right.
boxing match. It's it's to not to get knocked out, one, but two, put in a technical performance that impresses the judges, which I do not adhere to half the time. Okay, it's a fight. You're not there to impress judges. You're there to win. So with that said, you're correct. Deontay is what I always say. There's a mystery. There's a mystery to every fighter. Some are more obvious than others. Deontay's is pretty much a knock who's there type of scenario. I hate to say it. He is a brawler. Okay, he is going in there. He's not worrying about technical prowess. He's not worried about technical skills. He's worried about how many teeth are going to end up on his gloves once he puts his fist in your mouth. That's what I appreciate about him. However, you're right. It's only going to take one technical fighter that's going to beat him. And who is it going to be? We don't know. But God forbid if they match him up with them.
I think that technical fighter is Tyson Fury. So I know that we usually make our picks the week of the fight and all that kind of stuff. I'm making it now. I'm picking Tyson Fury to beat Deontay Wilder. I think that Deontay Wilder is going to have trouble knocking him out. If it goes to the scorecards, I think Tyson Fury, who is a more technical fighter, will be able to win on the scorecards, and this will be the end of that 42 fight or 43 fight win streak. I don't it's 42 something like that.
I think it's like 42, but it's just like with Mike Tyson. I can't even put Mike Tyson in that range, because while Mike Tyson was a brawler, he had Gus D'Amato to clean him up and make some real technical skills in there. But it took somebody that had range to really, and a big ear to really beat him off that range and just beat him.
Well, but that's the thing, right? But it wasn't just Buster Douglas. It was also Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, some of these great fighters. So you brought up Mike Tyson, which is a great segue, because one of the things that happened is that Deontay Wilder's driving. I think this was before the Ortiz fight. He's driving down the road. He's on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. And he's just interacting with the fans. And one of these fans was like, hey, well, you know what? You survived the Mike Tyson era. And he's like, bro, what are you talking about? This is ridiculous. And so he goes into this big diatribe where he's talking about Mike Tyson never fought Hall of Fame type fighters. That that when you start looking at the number of Hall of Fame caliber fighters he fought, that list is very short. And many of those fights have asterisks on them, according to Deontay Wilder. So I see you making a face. So go ahead, list off the Hall of Fame fighters that Mike Tyson fought.
Well, no, I'm not gonna list that because the list is short, and there's a reason why it's short. Because every one of those Hall of Fame fighters have sat there and said they didn't want to fight Mike Tyson. Okay, George Foreman said that.
He did.
Okay,
that's correct.
Yes, he said I want no pieces of it. Okay, who else? God, name me one, and I'll tell you he said it.
Well,
okay?
I don't know of other fighters who went on record saying that they that they didn't want to fight him. But what happened on this recording was that someone listed Larry Holmes, and so of course Larry Holmes was a great fighter, but Deontay Wilder was like, Larry Holmes was in the end of his career. He wasn't at his prime. And then someone brought up Leon Spinks. It's like, well, Spinks had moved up to heavyweight to fight Mike Tyson, and he fought scared. And I can say I was young when I saw that fight. That fight lasted like 93 seconds. Everybody was mad, but that dude fought scared from jump.
Because Mike Tyson, who said it? Who said it? Was it John Leguizamo, a comedian, said that Mike Tyson just has that look that when you go in there, that he's got that look like 1,000-yard stare. You're already beaten before he throws the first punch. And on top of that, there are many fights that if you go back and looking at at older fights, that when Mike would fight, at the end of the match, people would be like, yo, Mike, the fight's over with. And you would see him blink. And I'd laugh about it because I heard people talking about it. And you always wondered about the Nintendo game Mike Tyson Punch Out. Why does he blink before he starts attacking? That is a joke to that. That he used to blink, and come out of whatever trance that he was in and act normal. But the dude was on it.
So last one, and then we get into some headlines. On the undercard of the Deontay Wilder Luis Ortiz 2 fight was Marcellus Wilder. Do you know who Marcellus Wilder is?
Younger brother?
Younger brother who got knocked out.
Oh, let's just say it's not for everybody, people. Okay.
Like Deontay Wilder is special. It is not in the Wilder family, clearly. Yes. Former MMA fighter Dustin Long cleaned Marcellus Wilder's clock in the 4th round knockout. It was pretty brutal. Go back and watch that. That's it for finding the angle. That's it for the official decision. Let's get into finding the angles. There it is. All right, this is Finding the Angles. This is where we look at the headlines that are making waves in the MMA world. The first thing we got to talk about is, he's the new star of the UFC. It's Israel Adesanya. Conor McGregor era has passed. It is all about Izzy Adesanya, the man with the troll game, expert level troll game. So he has been going back and forth with Paulo Costa. Paulo, of course, has a torn bicep. Israel Adesanya saying that he wants to get at Paulo Costa before USANA does. This is a dig at Paulo Costa and his Adonis level body. It's just so ripped. And so Paulo Costa finally decided that he had enough of Israel Adesanya and went in on Twitter. I like this term that's kind of starting to appear. It's called tweet and delete.
Is that going into Harvard? Is that going into the dictionary?
That is in the Combat Sports Talk dictionary. Tweet and delete. This is one of those where you tweet something and then you realize, oh no, I shouldn't have said that out loud, but it's too late because I've tried to delete it, but people have already seen it. So this is what he said.
Yeah.
Paulo Costa said, Adesanya is afraid and to himself knows. He looks good, but everybody so skinny and fragile as him fell afraid to fight against powerful guys. And then he called him a vagina African.
Wow. When you're mad, when you just forget words? And that sentence structure is struggling right now.
Well,
and
the challenge is, of course, when you have someone like Israel Adesanya, who basically, grew up in, an English-speaking country like Nigeria, which most people don't know that the official language of Nigeria is English, and then moved to New Zealand, where the official language is English, that competing or talking smack against someone whose native language is English versus someone whose native language is English, whose native language is not English, Paulo Costa is at a major disadvantage. He should take a letter from George St. Pierre, who's like, I don't talk smack because I can't do it in English.
Yeah, there you go. He should have just put it out in Portuguese and called it a day. This one was, you lost this round, Costa.
Yeah,
don't take it personal.
So what's interesting? I don't know if it was MMA Mania. I forgot. I just kind of sourced them all at the end, but I don't know who it was, but they were giving round scores. So then Israel Adesanya, after picking on Paulo Costa, went after Yoel Romero, and so the new meme, right, where it's like, I'm gonna tell my kids this is X, and then you put a picture of someone totally different but shares kind of a characteristic. Mm-hmm. So Israel Adesanya went in on Yoel Romero. I don't know if you got to see this, but Israel Adesanya said, I'm going to tell my kids this is Yoel Romero. And it's a picture of Terry Cruz naked holding a basketball in a very fig leaf kind of position, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
Like, that's pretty strong, right?
Oh my God, this man's out of control. He needs to go back to training because he's got nothing to do but troll right now.
Yoel Romero responded with, I'm going to tell my kids this is Israel Adesanya. And the picture is the Somali pirate from Captain Phillips. I'm gonna have to go with a 10-9
oh my
10-9
God.
Yoel Romero on that one. Adesanya is not done though, so you know his favorite target to troll is the one and only Jon Bones Jones. So he puts a meme out there and it says, I'm gonna tell my kids this is Jon Jones. And it's a picture of Dave Chappelle's crackhead character, Tyrone Biggins. So we know that Jon Jones has had a little bit of a problem with the cocaine. Jon Jones has gotten in trouble with the cocaine.
Oh yeah, the coca. I'm in love with the coca.
And so Israel Adesanya is so good on the meme game that Jon Jones basically had it. I mean, like, you could hear him just slamming his hand down and being like, "That's it, I've had enough." So he responds with, "Be sure to tell your kids how I made my first million at age 23. Let them know I accomplish records you have never come close to. Let them know you had the chance to fight me, but you didn't, to get Mayweathered, and decided to make an excuse. Bro, I'm done replying to you." But he wasn't. Because he says, bro, you're gaining some popularity. I've seen so many popular fighters come and go over these years. Statistically, we're nowhere on the same level. I'm going to start treating you that way. You get no more responses out of me till 2021. I'll be interested to hear your excuses then. 2021 was the timeline that Israel Adesanya gave himself to clear out the 185 division before moving up to 205 to take on Jon Jones.
Ooh, somebody got into their feelings real quick. Okay.
Yes. So there was a fan out there who's like, okay, Jon Jones, you gotta take a chill pill, man. So he said, don't be triggered. This is just banter, just having fun. Jon Jones is like, raw, triggered. Yeah. Says, I've been seeing that same meme for like 6 years now. These fighters can't criticize my actual artwork, so they attack my personal life. The only thing that's annoying is the lack of originality. Listen, it still stings, apparently, so you're going to see more Tyrone Biggins. They're going to keep coming after you about that cocaine.
Yeah, man.
You got to just ignore it.
Hey, you got to own up to it, man. By the sword, okay? If you live by it, you got to die by it.
There it is.
You took a giant L today. So the biggest loser apparently was Jon Jones today.
Yeah, he's the one who reacted, did not react in kind. He went on the rant. Like, yes. No, that is the wrong way to respond to a troll, Jon Jones. Exactly. You know this, man. You know this. You fed the troll. Now he's coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if Israel Adesanya just basically had commissioned someone to paint a mural of Tyrone Biggins across the street from Jon Jones's house.
With Jon Jones' face on it?
Yes. Like, Israel Adesanya has the means to do that, Jon Jones. Like, don't feed the troll.
So, what's next? He's going to show that video of the Tyrone Biggins entrance and be like, this is Jon Jones' workout routine?
Oh, man. You showed him a button. He's going to push that button until y'all finally fight. Last thing on Adesanya, he's looking at Jared Cannonier. So because Paulo Costa has the bicep injury, then that means that he's looking at fighting Yoel Romero because many people are afraid to fight Yoel Romero.
Makes sense. And
so the person who's waiting in the wings as a potential replacement should Yoel Romero not be able to fight is Jared Cannonier. Adesanya said Jared Cannonier is the second most dangerous man in the division. I mean, I like Yoel Romero as a dangerous guy, but Jared Cannonier has definitely made a case for that role of number 2 most dangerous man at 185.
Ooh. Only if you considered Israel as the number one.
Right.
Yes.
Well, he's the champ, right?
Yeah. Of course.
So Israel Adesanya being the number one, I think that Robert Whitaker probably has a case that he could make for this, but Jared Cannonier is knocking folks out and just hurting people's feelings.
Yeah, and that's a really strong statement there for Israel to actually consider him as low. That means he's got an itch. He's got an itch.
We'll see. Speaking of somebody knocking folks out, you know who was the original knocker-outer of people?
Tank Abbott.
Okay. Probably there's too many people who knocked folks out. But Iceman, Chuck Liddell. Read the run sheet.
Iceman, I see. Okay, I know. I'm just throwing it out there. You threw it out there like that.
I'm kidding. I know. I got you. I see what you're picking up. So Chuck Liddell was in the news before saying that he could beat Mike Tyson in a street fight. People were not having it.
Not that 6'4" combo that Mike still does. No, sir. Okay.
So let me see if I can change your perspective on that. So he said a street fight. A street fight would include lots of other types of techniques besides just using your hands. And so what Chuck Liddell said was that Mike Tyson, as strong as he was, as elite as he was with the striking, he has no takedown defense and doesn't know what to do if he's on his back. And so that Chuck Liddell said that he would last less than 3 minutes before he would shoot to try to take this fight to the ground. Would you give Chuck Liddell a fighting chance if this fight went to the ground?
Not if he's giving it 3 minutes before he takes a shoot. Heck no. Mike Tyson's
It'd be under 3 minutes. It'd be under 3 minutes.
He should have been because he's thinking he has a chance to stand up. It should be the moment that he comes in close enough to me, I'm shooting to take him to the ground and owning him from there. Okay? Do not stand up. People, let me look at you for a second. Do not stand up to Mike Tyson. He will knock your head off. Okay? He will knock your head off and own you. All right? The man is dangerous at I don't know how old is he?
50-something.
80-something?
He's 50-something.
50-something. And I saw him, and we got video of him still punching on the bag. It still hurts. I looked at him.
It hurts. Wait, what do you mean it hurts? It hurts you to watch it?
Yes, because that man, I felt the pain in that bag. That bag, did you hear the, oh, that was the bag, okay?
All right, so here's the other thing. I think that Chuck Liddell, being able to take Mike Tyson down, I think that he's probably got a chance against Mike Tyson. But then again, Mike Tyson was so strong that perhaps Chuck Liddell wouldn't be able to keep him down. Maybe you pull an arm bar or something like that. There's some chances that you have that Mike Tyson just simply wouldn't know how to defend against certain basic jiu-jitsu techniques.
And that's true.
But the other thing Chuck Liddell was in the news for was the comedian. So David Spade, the comedian David Spade has his own show. David Spade and Whitney Cummings got with Chuck Liddell, put an earpiece in his ear a la Ellen DeGeneres style, put him on a stage in a comedy club, and then fed him jokes while he was up there telling. I have to say, his timing, not great, but it was funny. I really enjoyed watching Chuck Liddell tell jokes. He's not Joe Rogan.
No. He's more like Boomhauer, okay, to me. All right, when he talks, no, man, we're good. Leave it to Joe, man.
Yeah.
Leave it to Joe.
But I have to say, I gotta give some props to Chuck Liddell. He was pretty funny. Speaking of accents, since you're calling out Boomhauer, Joanna Young J chick is in the news. Her English isn't that bad. I understand what she's saying. They're gonna take that belt away from me.
You know what? It doesn't even sound nowhere near like what you just did.
I have the drop. With this new interface, I don't have my drops all set, but I'm gonna get my drops set up, and we'll play the Joanna J chick. Nobody gonna take this belt from me. I'm the queen. Somebody did though. They did take the belt from her. But she is talking about another belt, and she says that she is the female BMF. So we know now that BMF is now in the lexicon thanks to the Nate Diaz-Jorge Masvidal fight and the belt that was created in honor of their fight. So now Joanna Jacek is calling herself the BMF. And what she said was, people used to call me violent and savage. Jorge just won the belt, the baddest MF belt. I want to be the female MF. These girls can make it. These girls can make it. They can win the belt, but there's nobody like Ronda Rousey like me. People can doubt me. They could do that forever. But show me a better, cleaner fighter in the UFC or in general. You know, I have a special place in my heart for Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So, in so much as I am a homer and I'm super biased with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she talking crazy, y'all. She crazy. She crazy. Valentina Shevchenko.
Yes. Rose. Thug Rose. The reinvented Thug Rose.
Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes.
Jessica Andrade.
Well, Joanna Jędrzejczyk beat Jessica Andrade.
Did she? She did beat her.
She did. I think she beat her twice. So, bate estaca. No.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Sin.
Too bad we couldn't put Cyborg in there, but
yeah, Cyborg. But
Cyborg got more additives than the Popeye's chicken.
Oh my goodness. So Weili Zhang. She responded. The back and forth continues. Weili said she will finish Joanna Jędrzejczyk so early that she won't have to endure lots of damage. She says, I'm always looking to finish a fight as soon as I can so my opponent doesn't have to endure long periods of damage. I see fight ending in 1 or 2 rounds. I think Joanna possesses great skill with her striking along with good power, but I believe in my training and my team to have me ready to beat her anywhere. I mean, I know I got to stay on my hype train. But I'm looking at y'all on the other side going, man.
On our bullet train express.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo! Weili Zhang, man, she's strong, dude. I
can't wait.
But I got to stick with Joanna. I hope they make this fight soon. I want to see this. Now, George and I got into it. We got into it big time with the whole USADA thing. Like, it's the live recording of 244, which I have yet to publish, which I need to publish.
Lost files.
But we got into it about USADA. Well, USADA's in the news because they're changing their drug policy. And so the highlights here for the drug policy is, number one, they have an updated banned substance list. But now they have the amounts that you have to have in your system to be able to be triggered as an atypical finding. So there's a list of them. You can go and see them online. Lots of funny chemical names that I don't know what the heck they are. They're just bad. They also certify, we've been calling for this, certified supplements. Now there are supplements that are certified as clean. If you get an adverse or atypical decision or atypical finding using one of these supplements, then you're not going to be barred and suspended from the fights. You have to wait until that leaves your system, but you no longer will be considered popping for PEDs if you use the supplements that are on the list. So we've been calling for this, and it seems like they finally did that. Finally, they've updated the IV usage policy. The IV usage policy, for those of you who are out there who aren't familiar with this, is that fighters used to cut a lot of weight, and they used to be able to cut that weight because they were allowed to rehydrate using IV, which gets those waters and those fluids in the body quicker. Well, that also allows you to be able to flush out any PEDs that may be in your system. So USADA banned that. Well, there are medical reasons why a person might need IV fluids that are not related necessarily to cutting weight. So now the IV usage policy has been updated to make room for people who have a medical need for IV fluids while they're in competition. So this is a positive step forward. We need to see more of these kind of iterative changes in the USADA policy so that so many fighters who have lost years off of their careers struggling through this lack of foresight by USADA and the UFC won't have those penalties anymore. It's unfortunate that people like Nate Diaz had to come out and really put an entire card on the line to highlight the wrongdoing, or at least the wrong that he felt was being perpetrated against him. But people like, Josh Barnett and Junior Dos Santos and all these people lost years of their careers fighting USADA, and some of these things that have been resolved now with these changes. Any of your thoughts?
I'm glad that these changes, they're step in the right direction. Definitely needs more. USADA's not perfect. I still have beef with some of their calls, but let's see what next year provides. Okay, let's see how positive and how much are they willing to stick by their guns on their changes. Because one thing I do know about USADA, they will change it on a whim. All right, and call it a day.
All right. Last story, Mark Hunt. So, when we're talking about, use of PEDs, Mark Hunt fought against Brock Lesnar. I don't have this was back in 2017. I don't have the actual UFC number. But he fought against Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar came in from WWE where they don't have any type of testing for any type of banned substances. But he was given Brock Lesnar was given a kind of a, what would you call it? A pass, if you will,
a waiver
for getting into the pool, the USADA pool, and he ended up going in there fighting Mark Hunt. Did some significant damage to Mark Hunt, who, by the way, has already said that he is suffering from some initial aspects of CTE, chronic. Oh, dang it. KC would love the fact that I can't come up with it now. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. There you go.
Good job.
So he's already said that he is suffering from that. And so it's because of the fact that he's fought with fighters who have been on PEDs before they were testing. That the UFC, according to Mark Hunt, was not in good faith in giving the waiver to Brock Lesnar, and therefore colluded, if you will, to give Brock Lesnar this advantage against him. And
seems legit.
Unfortunately for Mark Hunt, much of the case that he had against the UFC was thrown out a while back. Only a small part remained, and this was mainly around whether or not the UFC had breached the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing with Mark Hunt, and that was also now dismissed by a Nevada district court. So Mark Hunt was not happy. He took to Twitter and raged, saying that calling Dana White, everything but a child of God, and really went in on the UFC as well. I feel bad for Mark Hunt, but those are the breaks.
That's unfair, though. I mean, Mark Hunt isn't wrong. Okay, with the damage that he suffered. If you go back and look at all the fights that he ever fought in, you saw the fighters. You know that he did. He took some serious damage. For what happened between him and Brock the second time, he was right. But at the same time, he still got in that ring.
Well,
okay, he still got in the ring.
But you can't see what's coursing through somebody's veins. You can't. You don't know. If they're saying that it's a fair fight, you're assuming that it's a fair fight. I like, on the one hand, I see Mark Hunt's case. I see what he's saying. When you have some fighter who is taking PEDs, and you give them a waiver, and you make it a way for them to get into the octagon, and you don't show the PED, you're not accounting for the PEDs, you are putting Mark Hunt's life in danger.
And they did, because guess what? After the fight, what happened? Brock Lesnar was reported that he failed both tests before and after.
Yeah, he popped. Okay. And so that's the thing, is that when he failed before and he failed after, then effectively we know that he used those drugs. But the penalties for doing that for Brock Lesnar are almost nothing, because it was one fight, and then he doesn't care. He still gets his purse, but what happens to Mark Hunt? The problem here is, and that's why I'm like, well, those are the breaks. It's not that he got into the ring, to your point, but the fact that, how do you prove that case? You've got to have systemic evidence. You've got to have, it can't be.
They had the evidence there. They didn't release the test results until afterwards.
But that's the policy. That's not. They don't. There's not the times that people pop are usually so far in advance of the fights that they're popping for different reasons. Like I don't see them, and maybe we need to just go and do more research to find out whether or not the Brock Lesnar case was out of the ordinary for reporting his popping of on PEDs. That I don't know that we can, either one of us can definitively say that we know the timing and whether or not it was following protocol or it was outside of protocol. But what I'm saying is that you have to then prove that there was malicious intent by the UFC to allow this to happen. And I don't think that that's something that's easily proven without a long track history of this happening to other fighters, and you're all coming together to show the pattern. If you have one bullet point, then it becomes just an exception. If you've got multiple points and you've got a line, now you've got something that you can actually build a case on. And I think that that's probably the thing that Mark Hunt didn't have working for him, is the fact that there's just not enough bullet points to really prove that the UFC was undertaking in behavior that was malicious or otherwise dangerous.
How many bullet points would it take, though? I mean, do you need 2, 3, 18?
I don't know, but I know that number is greater than 1. You know, it's clearly it's greater than 1, because if it was 1, Mark Hunt wouldn't have had his case thrown out. So it's more than 1. All I'm saying is that that's a difficult case to prove, and so the only way that you can prove that case is to bring that case, lose, but now if it happens to someone else, now you've got 2 bullet points, and maybe that is all it takes. If that case loses, then you've got 3 bullet points when it happens again. You have to be able to draw the line, which means at least 2 points.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I agree.
All right, so that is it for Finding the Angles. We've got one more segment, and I am super excited about it. This is the Fight Card. This is the Fight Card. This is where we look at the fights that are coming up this weekend. The UFC, no fights. ONE FC, no fights. Bellator, no fights. No big heavyweight fights, no big boxing fights that I'm aware of right now, but there is one promotion up in Detroit, Michigan. Warrior Extreme Cage Fighting, WXC. It's Warrior Wednesday 9 from the Crystal Gardens in Southgate, Michigan. That's outside of Detroit. There is a fight that's happening this week, Thanksgiving Eve. Our man, George G-Money Stallworth, is bringing in one of the fighters he is training. That is Jeremy Hit'em Holloway. He's 10-3. He's going to be fighting Chaos Williams. They know him as the Ox Fighter. It is the co-main event of the evening this Wednesday. What do you think?
Man, it is the tussle before the turkey, man. It's gonna. I hope George gives us some video footage so we can watch it. Well, no, he said something's going to be on Fight Pass. That's right.
Watch it on Fight Pass. Yes.
That's right. If you got Fight Pass, you watch it. Watch it.
Watch it. All right. So we're going to get Jeremy Hit'em Holloway on the show. We're going to interview him. We want to know more about him, but we are rooting for him. Flash Fight Picks. Actually, the main event is Austin Tweedy versus Chris Brown. Austin Tweedy's 11-2. Chris Brown's 4-1. Who you got? We're going to do fight picks. Jeremy Hit'em Holloway versus Chaos Williams. There's a correct answer to this.
There's only one answer.
There's only one answer.
There's only one answer. So we're not even going to go do it. I'm going to go. First off, Holloway, good luck, sir. All right, don't kill him. Don't kill him. He's got to go home. He's got to go home and eat turkey, man.
Listen.
Just make sure you can put it in a blender.
Listen.
All right.
Hit'em Holloway is going to put him to sleep before the turkey does. What?
Ooh.
Tryptophan.
What?
We're going to call Jeremy Tryptophan.
I'm just saying, buy the dude a ninja so he can blend that turkey and the gravy
and
the
straw
mashed potatoes and put in a straw and just suck it down. Because that's all I'm asking, dude.
All right. Hey, listen, hit him, Holloway, hit him. That's all you got to do. Hit them hard. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. We are in your corner. Combat Sports Talk is all about you winning this fight. George better show this to you before the fight. We're calling it for you, man. You got to make it happen. We'll have you on the show, and we'll have you tell us all about it. So that's about it.
Cool.
That's it.
Hold on. We got one more thing. There's one more thing.
What's that?
There's one more thing. Today, on this day, 11/25, all right, 2000, in the 2000 odds. Today was the day that Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell had their first. I'm sorry, not Tito and Chuck. It was Tito and Ken Shamrock had their first fight to kick off the trilogy.
All right. There it is.
History.
Little bit of history. All right. Follow us on social media. On Instagram, I'm at Combat Sports Talk.
And I am at Keys to Victory. And you know what? I think next week I'm going to have to put it like right here in the background and have that Keys to Victory, my handle there, just to make it look pretty.
All right.
Okay, I think I'll do that.
All right. You can find our website at www.combatsportstalk.com. We are on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. I want to send a shout out. I want to send a shout out to those MMA websites that make this show possible. All the places where I go to get my content for the show, and that's MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, and Bloody Elbow. There's also some other sites that provide stories that we use on the show, but I want to call them out because those are the places that have kept my love for MMA this strong for all this long. So on behalf of John Keys, I'm Ryan Smith reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs.